My name is Sean, and we're here to celebrate the work of Bill Burke. Before we do that, I just want to mention that Tuesday at Lunch with Books at noon, this Tuesday, we will have the Wheeling Poetry Series with Amy Alvarez, and that's hosted by Mark Harshman. And the nice thing about having Bill here tonight is we're about the same height, and I can put the microphone where I need it, and I don't have to do that. If you didn't get any snacks, we have, they're running out. We have food and beverages over there. Bill has books with him. The small one is $25 and the large one is $40. See Bill about any transactions. And I have the latest off-the-press Upper Ohio Valley historical review over there for $5. Bill Burke is a Maryland native, and he graduated from Wheeling College in 1971. I'm going to turn that down a little bit. See if that's better. Still getting a little feedback. He became focused on photography during his senior year, and during that time, Miners for Democracy, a union reform group, held a meeting at the college. Burke got involved with the group's struggle, and after graduation, he moved to Wheeling and photographed for the UMWA at mine sites at southwestern Pennsylvania. Between assignments, he photographed in downtown Wheeling and in Woodsdale, neighborhood where he lived. It is the photography from these days that comprise the exhibit you see tonight. Bill moved to Washington, D.C. in 1975 and photographed primarily for international labor unions. Upon his retirement in 2016, his archive was acquired by the University of Maryland. He lives in Silver Spring with his wife, Jonni, who's here tonight. Here's Bill Burke.
Thanks everyone for coming. I really appreciate it, especially those that came from out of town. Good to see everyone. So I'm going to show some pictures to talk about it, and after we're done, I'll take some questions if you have any. So as Sean said, I got involved in photography my senior year. I borrowed a camera and bought some film and just shot everything and anything. I was hooked after that. I just went around campus. Photographed, I was friends with the rugby team, so I photographed rugby matches, and if you look at the field, it's a little different today than it was then. If I remember correctly, it was mostly mud back then, right? Yeah, it was mostly mud. So I basically just photographed my classmates as I found them. We still be okay. Pictures like this. So I moved to Wheeling, as Sean said, and here are my housemates. We good? Okay. Where were we? I moved to Wheeling. These are my housemates, Richard Pellerman and Tim Cogan. The guy in the background, forget him. As they said, Tim was working for the Miners for Democracy, and he hired me to go with him to the mines and photograph the miners as he interviewed them. So that's what we did. So this is a shift change in one of the mines. We usually went at night, so we get a shift change and more people to talk to. So I tried to get the pictures without interrupting the interview, and from this, I learned to use my hands and use the hands of the subject. I think they're important. Hands are very expressive. And so I wanted to be unobtrusive and not get in the way. So I learned to kind of find an angle and get a good shot and move on. I moved in for a portrait here. So some more hands. Sorry about that. Okay. This picture taught me to always look behind myself. I was photographing a union meeting at one of the mines, near one of the mines. I turned around and saw these retired miners who thought enough of their union to come and see what was going on. and the window light was coming in, and I liked the hands and everything. And I thought, I've always got to remember to turn around, because it became one of my favorites. So another guy, Tim, was interviewing. We mostly went to the mines at night, but sometimes, well, I think once we were there in the daytime. This guy's ready to go to work. Another interview. He's listening to a question Tim had for him. When I moved back to DC, the National Mine Workers Union sent me to Kentucky, Harlan County, where there's a strike going on. And these guys are ready to go to work too. And I finished my pictures and turned around and noticed that coal miners' daughters. I always wonder what happened to them. They're okay. Okay, 99 and a half, Edgerton Lane at Carmel Road. That was our address. Tim and I and Richard lived on the second and third floor. And as you're about to see, many of the pictures I took were taken from that top floor window, the attic. It looked onto the Alpha and Minute Market and the State Store. So here's an example of one of those. We've got the diagonal line dividing the two. I don't know if you can tell or not, but the boy's holding some money. I think he was on an errand for his mom. And the cigar smoking gentleman's got a couple more cigars in his pocket. But I didn't intentionally look for young old pictures. Just worked out that way. Here's a view from across the street, the State Store. A couple boys playing and a couple of kids coming to join them. Picture's kind of divided in half by the brick column. Basically the same angle. State Store guy coming out with his package and the two paper boys. Back then, they called the liquor store state stores, and it was like going to a bank. You walked up to a counter and told the guys what you wanted, and they went and got it for you. You couldn't browse or anything. It was all behind the counter. I know it's different now. The dog, I don't know who belonged to the dog. Okay, so now we're downtown at a barbershop. You can see the hands of the little boy and the woman, and if you look, you can see the woman's scarf in the window reflected. And another detail, upper left, the Exorcist is playing next door. So, here's a wide shot of downtown. To me, I like the balance of the foreground guy and the guy crossing the curb. I like to get a little balance in the pictures. And you can notice all the vehicle traffic down there. It was very busy with people and cars at all times. And playing at the Victoria is the Sting. You see the poster there. This is a very busy picture. The guy painting the curb, brush in one hand and a cigarette in the other. And people have told me that the guy with the tie was a notorious character. I don't know the details, but someone would know. But a 70s detail would be the special 8-track tape sign on the right. And the banana on the left, I don't know what that's all about. But. So as busy as that picture was, this one's kind of simple with the diagonal line and the guy adjusting his hat. It was taken right underneath our window. And it was a great vantage point to see, just watch life going by and taking pictures. Gaslight Army Navy Club. I have a lifelong love of science, and I remember walking close to steps and thinking, I'm not going down there. It looked very scary. I like the hats on these two guys. The gentleman on the right's getting ready to mail some letters, I think. There's a mailbox. And there's a big Oldsmobile going up the street. There's a lot of Oldsmobiles in town. We're going to see some more of those. This was taken from the attic through the curtains. You can see some of the crosswalk there. And I showed this picture and others to a college classmate. He goes, hey, that's my aunt. He was from New York, but he had some local relatives. So I never knew that he actually knew somebody. I have to laugh when I see this because back home in Silver Spring, we used to have a neighbor that would use a broom to rake his leaves. And I always think of him when I see this. This is Woodsdale, just walking around. This one is backlit where the light's coming into the camera, so you have a nice shadow on the little girl and like a rim light around her hair. And I think I was attracted to the undulating driveway there. It has nice texture to it. So, but her brother caught me in the act, but it is what it is. A little conversation downtown, if you see all the pedestrian traffic up above there, and there's a woman walking toward the camera in the middle there. So people were very friendly, and everyone seemed to know everyone. That's something that always got me. I had a feeling when I saw this little family that the candy store would come into play, and sure enough, that I was ready for someone to reach for it and get his mother to go there. So I happened to catch that. A little anticipation there. The Rogers Hotel. Construction men welcome. This is another one where it's a little balance. The guy coming up the street, to me, balances off the picture a little bit. I like his body language too. Okay, this one, we got a wet pavement. If you look closely, each person has 1 foot off the ground, and the woman has a beautiful shadow underneath, and the wet pavement really shows reflections. This is an example of when you shoot down on the subject, there's no horizon, so you get like a nice plain look to it. So, and it's always good to get a deep black in black and white, so I was lucky there. Also from the attic. All right, the story on this was I was hired by WWVA to shoot a truckers jamboree. And at night they had music, and during the day the trucks would come in and they'd be judged for, I'm not sure what, but who had the best truck. And this woman asked me, would you take a picture of my truck? And I said, of course. And so we got her behind the wheel and doing different things. And we walked her, she's about 5 feet tall. And she did drive the truck, and when we went into the front, I noticed that the graphics of the truck kind of matched her glasses. So I came in tight, so it made it kind of a flat background. And her name is Jonni. And every time I see that, I groan because I wish I had shown both her hands. So I learned a lesson there. So anyway, that's Jonni. There's a little parade through Woodsdale. The first two, I believe, were twins in plaid pants there. Another sidelit where the light's coming in from behind that tree. So we got some nice shadows also. Just happened to see it and grabbed it as they went by. This was taken as I was coming out of Book and Donovan. For some reason, I saw half a curtain and I stopped and focused. And as soon as I did, the gentleman stepped right into the picture. So, and then the little poster says his singing is a miracle. I'm not sure who was the singer. The luck on that picture, I always like that one. This is not a spy thing here. It's, the guy happened to be walking with his hand behind his back. I'm not sure why. But the gentleman coming towards him in the middle, you can see his face in the window also. It's like a double image there. And then you have a pair of people at the top of the picture kind of bouncing off a little bit. These little girls saw me walk by and yelled, and I happened to get them between the railing there. Has a foreground, middle, and background. It's something hard to do. At the time, I didn't know it was hard, but there's a name for it. We'll get to that in another picture. But, yeah, that was Woodsdale. This was a little town in Ohio just outside of Wheeling. The railroad tracks running through town with brother and sister. This was at Bethany. I have a thing for frames within the camera frame, and car windows work for that. So I managed to catch that guy framed in the car window. This one, there's a gas pump. It's 12th Street, right at the curb with a working gas pump sitting by itself. And then I saw the no loafing sign, and I said, I've got to wait for someone to walk into the picture. So the woman came in. I really like she's like solid black outfit and a white background. So yeah. This one, I was drawn to the guy taking a drink with his hand in his pocket, dressed all in black. But when I made the print, I noticed the woman on the far left just dropped her book. So there's a couple of things going on there. This was taken from a moving car. I wasn't driving. Richard was driving. I saw him as he drove up, go like that, so I just went to the window and grabbed the shot. So you get lucky sometimes. Another conversation. I like the guy holding the pipe, his hands there. The guy on the right has got his umbrella hooked up to his pocket. in front of an Oldsmobile, and then we have a driver in the upper left going by. There's another one of those too. This was still a senior in college. We were riding around with some friends in an old car, and I was in the front seat. I turned around, and I like the shape of the window, so you can call it a backseat portrait, I guess. That's not Queen Elizabeth. Someone asked me. Clear umbrella back then. We're in, I guess, lucky because I can see the guy's face she was talking to. And there's another driver flying by in the background, like before. And some 70s era cars up in the upper left. Another hand picture. More plaid. 14th Street. Richard and I were downtown with our friends, the two ladies there, and the gentleman stopped and hooked his cane to his elbow. Was checking him out. Some details. See the phone book in the far right. Phone booth, excuse me. And there's an Oldsmobile torn out going up the street. And then, again, I'll point out all the vehicle traffic on the street there. There's Richard and friend with coming from the record store. With the guy going the other way. Richard gave me that camera a few years ago. Thank you, Richard. This lady is waiting for a bus at the bus station, which I believe now is the public market, I think. Another where I got caught by the little boy, but if you look into the passenger window, you can see the face of the boy who's back to us. And either the dad or grandfather looking out the window. So another case of framing within the frame. More frames within the frame. I caught these guys walking through a construction site. I think this one I like the texture most of all. Okay, here we go with layers. I remember liking the local out-of-town signs. And then I noticed the two wheeling electric trucks in the background, face to face. So I decided to wait for a car to drive in the picture and fill it up. So that's what happened there. And I learned later the name for this type of picture is layering, where you have a foreground, middle, and background. At the time, I didn't know it was a thing, but that's what it's called now. We're going to finish up with some singles here. Another clear umbrella from the attic. I'm pretty sure this guy was outside the Morris Plan bank. He just withdrew some money. Someone said it was a racetrack, but that was just downtown. Got his wallet there, and no one seemed to care that he had his money out. Here's the plaid guy about to step into a puddle. This is near the state store. Also, we got a real nice shadow because the pavement was wet. I couldn't do a show without UMWA, so there's a picture of a family up there. And to thank you all for sitting through all this, I've got a snow picture for you. That's Cameron, West Virginia. So thank you all so very much. I need to thank Sean and his staff for doing a great job. For Robert Delamarter, for hanging the show and for your advice. And Jim Bracken, who helped me put the show together. It was invaluable to me. Thank you all so very much.
Any questions? You'll get off that list. Yep. Who has a question? Back there, Frank.
Yes, Frank.
I bought the one on the right, and he bought some food that was dealing with Marty Cuba, I believe. I was charmed by the fact that it was in English.
Wow, very cool. Yes, sir.
Yes, your recognition of the expressiveness of Venus.
Yes.
Your cue, or were you like taken?
From doing the minor pictures, I thought it was important. And later on, when I worked for the different unions, I would go to a job site or a factory. I would try to get tools in hands to show the work. Just someone like that didn't do it for me. I wanted to see action and expression. So I picked that up from the minor pictures. I just thought it was important to me.
Sort of the top sculpture in the world, Rodin.
Okay.
He found out that hands were the most expressive.
Okay, well, I didn't know that, but I'm familiar with him though.
See what you're doing, it's great.
I don't know about that. I'm not the thinker, but yes.
How many photos do you think of Wheeling? I would assume this it, or do you have a lot?
I have about 60 decent ones.
Okay.
They're in the bigger book. Yeah, but you know, I wish I'd shot more on TVs because I bet the whole show is 5 or 6 rolls of film. I just really wish I'd shot more. Because looking back at this, what did I think of that? But I really didn't like say, okay, today I'm going to go downtown and shoot this or that. I just had my camera with me, and if I saw something, I would shoot it. I didn't have a plan. Anyway, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you ever been haunted by the photo you need to get? Have you ever been haunted by?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes.
Can you describe that one that maybe you said, wow, it's either you didn't have your camera with you or something happened so quick or?
Yeah, I was driving through Wheeling and on a downtown, not a great section, and there was maybe a 10-year-old black boy, and he was holding a white infant. And I thought, why don't I stop and do that? I didn't. I was driving. That haunts me. I think it would have been nice. Yes, sir.
Have you ever gone back in like modern times and tried to recreate some of these shots, see the difference in just what downtown's like?
I know people do that, and I was thinking about that when I was driving around this morning, but I may do that someday. Yes,
You have,
it's a good idea.
you have an old and a new of the house we lived in.
Yes, yeah.
So you've got then and now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got a few like that, yeah. Any more? Yes, yes, ma'am.
When did you discover the art of framing and layer that you were
Well, I just figured the frame of 35 millimeter was so small that you had to do your cropping in the camera when you take the picture and fill it up with what you want and leave everything else out. So I've always had a pretty good eye for framing. As far as layering, I didn't know it had a name. I read about it somewhere. And it's very difficult to do, especially with people. When I looked through these pictures, I thought, well, there's one. I can talk about that. Yes, sir.
Did you photograph any in color in your career?
Oh, much color, very much, because clients wanted that. Probably since the year 2000, all color negative, and then I went to digital. Yes, tons of color.
The reason I ask is that years ago, I took a photography class.
Mhm.
Our assignment was to go out and take only black and white pictures.
Right.
Because of the contrast.
Mhm.
They want us to really earn our keep.
Right. Well, black and white is more about the content. Color, the first thing you see in color is a person's shirt or something like that, which, you know, you can do what I did in color also, but back then, black and white was it. Color was difficult. There was this color slide film, and that's about it. And darker work, that was the thing you did. And I mentioned film has texture and a look that you just can't get with digital. It's not going to say grainy, but it has a feel to it. And when I printed these, I thought, man, why did I shoot more of these? Yes,
Did you develop your own film?
I did, yes, all this, yeah, printed it.
Is
Yeah.
that in your apartment?
Um, my next door neighbor, Terry Gurley, let me use his basement.
Nice.
And he had a entrance on the back at one of those doors, and it was open 24/7, so I go in there at night. And in fact, when Tim and I were putting the newspaper layout, he would say, all right, I need a picture of this guy. I'd go over to Dark and make a print, bring it back to him. So I'm sure Tim remembers that. Yes, that's a round barn that was up at, Rich and I were driving around. I think it was in Bethany somewhere. And I think it burned down. Someone told me it burned down. But I was going to put that in the show, but Jim Bracken, the guy who helped me, said that would make a great title slide. And I agreed. I wanted it to be the first one, but he convinced me to put one of me in there. So. But, yeah, that was my idea. How are we doing, Sean? Good. Any more? Yes, sir.
Obviously, these are all shot with film, and today it's all digital.
That's correct.
What's your opinion professionally on film versus digital? Pros, cons?
I wouldn't go back because the immediacy of seeing your work, I'm hooked on that. And I love the darkroom work, but when you're on a deadline, it's not that much fun. But when you're doing your own work and getting in there, the solitude, I like that music, and you're working, taking your time. But I had clients that wanted stuff like that, and I was able to deliver on the spot for the digital. So I do like it. But I have a fondness for film, as you can see. Yes, Chris?
Now that you're retired, are you still, do you do it for pleasure? Just take
All the time, yes. Yeah. It's not something you retire from. Yeah. My wife will tell you that. Yes, sir.
Who are your favorite photographers?
Robert Frank. I like street photography. Our college had one photography book. I must have checked it out 10 times. It was Henry Cartier-Bresson, the French photographer, who believed in never cropping, shoot it, get it right in the frame. I remember reading that and thinking, I'm going to do that. And it was all black and white, and he had a really good composition sense. So I kept checking that book out over and over again. So yeah, I'd say those two. Robert Frank was in the 50s. He's one of the first guys to drive around America in his car and just photograph everything. Yeah, I liked him too. I have many, many favorites. I have a house full of books. That was kind of my education. I didn't really get self-taught. I just looked at books and got from there. I'm proof that if you have the desire to do it, you could do it. I'm not technical at all. To college, some other guys would do my film for me, develop it. That's what encouraged me. I see the prints. So this is great. So one guy said, here's the key, get in there, and I'm not going to graduate unless you do your own darkroom work. So I went in there and made every mistake, screwed everything up. And I wanted to do it so bad. I figured it out. So, yeah. Am I going on too much? Yes, yes, sir.
Do you happen to sell any larger prints like you have in the back?
Bigger than this?
Well, you have a back on display.
Right.
Something framed.
I could go a little bigger.
Is that large?
Yeah, I could. Mm-hmm. Tim, you got a question?
Yeah. Most of the photographers you work with self-taught, are they art school people?
College educated in like a journalism courses, that kind of thing. Most of them. Robert Galbraith's here today. Where are you, Rob? An amazing photographer from Wheeling, who worked for Reuters, AP, UPI. How about you? What was your self-educated? But yeah. I'm living proof. If you want to do it bad enough, you can do it. So I'm not very good at anything else. We good? What do you think, Sean? Wrap it up? Thank you all so very much. Pretty good. Not yet. Pardon me, am I on? No, oh, can you plug me back in? Stick one second. Didn't even look at my notes. I forgot to say one more thing. I want to introduce my wife, Jonni. Please stand up. That's my wife. Thank you.